Amok to you. We're doing our daily, here we are, Emil Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable on the road. And I published my column on the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund blog this morning. And I just want to make sure you saw it because it is sort of the state of the nation right now, where beyond racism, we have this new enemy, which is ageism. Now, I know you say, well, we've had this a long time. We've, didn't like Feinstein, or some of you didn't, or you people went after her. I actually, you can look at my columns on the ALDEF blog, and I defended Feinstein. But now with this Asian American special prosecutor coming out with this report, ageism is everywhere. It's documented. It's out there. It's a weapon, and it's going to spread. But first, I want to just give you my thoughts about Super Bowl 58, because I was trying to get away from it, trying to get away from the special prosecutor and his document, his report, by watching the Super Bowl. And I thought, oh, yeah, the 49ers are going to win too. Because the Chiefs are okay, but I lived in Missouri, St. Louis, not Kansas City. But I thought maybe the 49ers had a chance. And they did. They came out there and they kicked Kansas City's butts. Oh, my God. They were dominant. And then they fumbled. And that mistake, I think that really was a turning point. When they could not capitalize in that first series and score, they could have been up more than, 10-3 it was at half. They could have been up something like maybe 17-3, maybe 20-3. They needed that kind of distance because Kansas City's a comeback team, especially with Mahomes. So the 49ers were explosive at the start, and then they had their peaks and valleys, and they just couldn't put it together to win. They had that one shot in the fourth quarter, just before they went into the overtime, where a blitz came, and I think it was the fourth quarter that sent them into overtime. They couldn't capitalize. They were like on the 9-yard line, 12-yard line, something like that. And they blitzed Purdy, and Purdy couldn't see the receivers because he's not agile. He's not quick. If he was agile and quick, he could have raced out. But anyway, as a mark of maturity, I am not getting agitated about the Super Bowl. In the past, I would have, but I'm trying to be mature. I'm trying to be mature, and I have to say, a meditation has helped. So I'm not as upset about the game. I was kind of taken by surprise at the halftime show because I like Usher, especially that one song. Oh yeah, he's been around a long time, Usher, 30 years. And I noticed, I went online to see the critique of Usher, and there were people saying, oh, Usher was kind of, it's implying that he was old hat, that he was like an old guy. And, to me, that was like indicative of this thing that we're saying, where people are going after the old. And it kind of surprised me because, a guy takes off his shirt. Oh, he's got six pack. He roller skates and dances, doesn't miss a beat. And people are saying, oh, ho hum, we've seen it. Of course, because he's got a 30-year legacy. But I say, good thing he's not running for president. So helping Usher were all these younger folk taking star turns. And I was especially taken by the Filipina Asian American, African American pop star, guitarist, Gabrielle Sarmiento Wilson, aka Her, which is an acronym standing for Having Everything Revealed. But then I heard Her, and my God, it reminded me of that other Her, H-U-R, Her. Robert Hur. So hooray for her, H-E-R, boo on her, H-U-R, the Korean American Robert Hur, the special prosecutor, who really went above and below the call of duty in a political slander of President Joe Biden. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Her is leading the charge for ageism this political season. And Her's investigation, remember, concluded that there would be no prosecution against Biden for any mishandling of classified documents because he had taken some documents. Okay, they investigated and they found that there wasn't enough evidence. Now, that should have been the news. President cleared. That's the headline. Once Her determined that there wasn't enough evidence, Her was done. I mean, that was it. That was his job. But he's a good Asian American, and somehow Her, Trump appointee to the Justice Department, in typical Asian American fashion, just managed to get in a little extra credit, right? Her was named special prosecutor in January of last year by Attorney General Merrick Garland, who's a smart guy who should be on the Supreme Court, except for politics. But he must have thought it was a stroke of genius to appoint a Trump Republican in a political year to investigate his Democratic boss. I mean, that would be a sign of unity, right? In the fight for truth and justice. I mean, it would appear. It wasn't. Now, his background, son of South Korean immigrants, a Harvard grad, smart guy, knew exactly what he was doing. Last year, when I did a story on the Aldef blog, I talked about how when he was appointed by Garland, he said all the right things because he's a, political Asian. He knows where his bread's buttered. He said, I will conduct the assigned investigation with fair, impartial, and dispassionate judgment. This was in a release. And he said, I intend to follow the facts swiftly and thoroughly without fear or favor. That's a good line. Without fear or favor, and will honor the trust placed in me to perform the service. Right. Or maybe right wing, because that's what Her did when he put out his report. He serviced the right wing. Just because he found nothing to prosecute doesn't mean he was fair or impartial. Following the facts without fear or favor is a nice line, but it would mean dropping the speculative comments about Biden's memory. And Her, of course, couldn't resist. I mean, it was like, oh, well, I got this information or this speculation about this memory that I witnessed, and I know my Republican buddies would like me to say something about this. At least that's what I'm thinking was going on in Her's mind. Now, these comments were challenged by Biden's attorneys all throughout the weekend, especially on Face the Nation, where Bob Bauer, Biden's personal attorney, called Her's report a shabby piece of work. Here's his quote. Legal experts around the country are saying it just goes off the rails. Bauer said that the report reached the right conclusion, then was loaded with hundreds of pages of, quote, misstatements of facts and totally inappropriate and pejorative comments that are unfounded and not supported by the record. So Her sounds like he was padding to buttress his own career among Republicans who have seized on the report and its findings that give an excuse why the president shouldn't be prosecuted. I mean, really, Her said, look, all right, I can't prosecute the guy, but here's why. It's because, and this is how he links it. He's kind of smart about it. He said, at trial, this is in the report, at trial, Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury, as he did during our interview with him, as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Wow. Her did not have to say that, but Her was using Biden's memory as his excuse of why he couldn't prosecute. He could have just said, I can't prosecute because I don't have the evidence. I don't have a compelling prosecution. I can't do it. That's it. But he wanted to put in that extra dig because that way he can justify taking a year to complete what should have taken 2 months. Really, it should have. It didn't have to go on into October like it did when Biden was hung up with the Israel Hamas thing, but it did. And Bauer was in on the discussions and said, "Look, there was nothing wrong with Biden's memory." So this is where we are. The enabler of ageism is Robert Herr, a man from an Asian American culture supposedly known for reverence and respect for older members of their families, but not in the age of Trump, where Trump's minions emulate the lack of civility and fairness in an all-out effort to win, even when losing. No prosecution legally? Hey, then Herr went for the kill politically. And he may have wounded the president. I mean, is it fatal? I don't think so. Doesn't have to be, but he did wound the president. Now, in doing so, Herr let loose the virus that is ageism. And now here's the thing. I've been writing columns for about more than 20 years. And I once thought that ageism would unite us all. I especially write in the ethnic media and different ethnic media, Asian, African American, the white media. And look, we may not all be the same race, ethnicity, or gender, but we all fight time and the aging process. And that should be our common ground, the thing that brings us together. Now, to win our fight against Father Time, we need to think of it as a team sport, this battle. But I look back now, what I have written 20, 25 years ago, and how naive I was about thinking that the common ground would be age. And we'd see that we were all the same. But age divides, generation gaps exist. And it's changed, or rather, it's charged with all these emotions. You see an older person, you see a younger person. I mean, it's charged emotions that we have. And it fuels a discrimination that may be harder to fight than racism. I mean, look at how the meritocrats, the meritocracy nerds, refuse to give credit to Biden for his accomplishments, like the soft landing on the economy. Why? Well, they can't deem him competent when all they see is an old man, just as Special Prosecutor Robert Herr did. I mean, really, this is a kind of a significant thing because we come to a time when there's something like 10,000 people turning 65 every day, the boomers. Now, of course, it cuts both ways, Republican and Democrat, because just this weekend you saw Donald Trump, 77. I think we ought to name you say their name, you say their age, just like you do in a news story. Donald Trump, quote, comma, 77. He said that Russia should be able to do, quote, whatever the hell they want to. Now, what does that signal to NATO members? I mean, he was arguing that NATO members who don't meet their defense spending targets, well, hey, Putin can do whatever he wants. And then Trump said, those guys must pay their bills. And of course, we know that this is coming from a man notorious for not paying lawyers, defendants, contractors. He's pro Putin and taking side swipes at allies. So you got to wonder, is this just regular Trump senility, or is he just regular Trump crazy, or is he senile? And that's why ageism has become the campaign's dominant theme for both parties. It's an issue that I think is going to hang around. And unless we attack it and make sure that people understand what's going on, if it hangs around, let's just put it this way. If it hangs around, it doesn't age well. So that was my column today. I mean, I've been thinking about it, and I was trying to use the Super Bowl to get away from thinking about her, and then I saw her, and then I thought about her, and then that was it. And of course, the game went. I mean, it's Lunar New Year weekend, and the game went to the team that most prominently showed off their red, right? So the team that and that was Kansas City, so they became the red envelope team. I wanted the Niners. I had this is my red. I was wearing my red for the Niners. And as I was out and about today, I saw so many people coming back from Vegas in their cars, just kind of not shell shocked, but they were hoping they'd win. And the 49ers played well. I mean, for the first 5 minutes, and then they dominated bits of that game. But it's tough. Hey, look, I'm trying to be mature. I'm trying to be mature, so I'm not going crazy. Hey, listen, thanks for watching. This is my, what do we call this? This is my Emil Mux Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. I'll do these things spot, like when I'm not in my studio, and I'll just get it out to you. And usually we're on at 2 p.m. Pacific live. And I just wanted to comment that, yeah, check out my column on the ALDEF blog, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Hey, listen, we're here Monday through Friday, generally 2 p.m. Pacific live. And if we're not, then, I'll make it up to you. I'll make it up to you. Yeah, I like you. I like you guys. So some things coming up for me. Go to my Facebook page. You'll see I'm going to be at the LA Improv, a short set on the 18th, 4 p.m., next Sunday at 4 p.m. So if you're in LA, if not, DM me, say, hey, we're here in Sacramento. When are you going to come up here? We're here in Daly City. When are you going to come see us? I will. I'll bring the show. It's not a show. I'm just doing a 5-minute thing. So if you want to come to LA, it's because you want to go to LA. But if you want to see, if you want me to come to your town, I will too. Also, if you're in Fresno, March 2nd, 3rd, and a couple other dates in March, I'm part of the Rogue Festival in Fresno. And then in April, I'm preparing for my show at Under St. Mark's, New York City Fringe, the Fringe Festival. So all that coming up. Hey, and then, of course, check out my columns on the ALDEF blog, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, aaldef.org/blog. All right, that's it. Thank you for catching me live. And if you didn't see me live, maybe you'll record this and you'll use your finger and go back to the beginning. Check it out. Emil here. We like to close with a little meditation because it helps. I'm telling you, meditation helped me get over being really crazed about the Super Bowl. Mature. I was mature. Meditation. Yeah. And did you notice all the Jesus commercials? A lot of Jesus commercials, man. I mean, he's got his media buyer out there, Jesus. And I don't know, is it Jesus with the crucifixes with the body, or is it the crucifixes with the shape, like the spiritual crucifix or like the physical crucifix? I think it's the spiritual one, the empty cross versus the vivisector's cross. Where you see a 6-pack and all that. Anyway, so we meditate. So we close with a little meditation. Loving kindness, metta, METTA, where I send it out to you and you send it back. Come on, send it back. Send it back. As I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. and may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal Kita.